Are you from Xinjiang? Are you sure? Living in Xinjiang is such a difficult thing. Is it safe? Is it safe now? That is why I don't get why this kind of phenomenon was narrated as forced labor. Hello everybody, finally my channel Frankly Fun. First of all, I want to thank all of you guys for supporting me to move on sharing more stories about Xinjiang. I'm very surprised that my first video was viewed tens of thousands of times on YouTube. Now I'm standing in Niujie in the south part of Beijing. It is renowned for Hui ethnic quarter, and you can see a lot of halal restaurants and with long lines of people waiting for their turn to buy food, especially lamb or beef or snacks with Hui ethnic characteristics. Why am I here today? Coming from a place heavily influenced by Muslim culture, I like to come here to buy beef and lamb. Now let's go and buy some beef. 哇，我想问问，就这一块有多重？这一块有多少？
这块有1斤6、7两。
您可以帮我分一下就行了。
您是炒菜吃吗？
炒菜吃。啊，谢谢。对，谢谢啊，谢谢，好嘞。I bought 1 kilometer for 120 yuan. Check this. Hi, Miao. I got the beef.
Hi.
Today I will be joined by Miao to talk about our shared experience of living in Chinese ethnic minority regions. She comes from Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region, where 1/3 of the population is Hui people. Now let's take a quick answer to see what ideas Miao and I share or disagree with. What's your first impression on Beijing when you started life here?
Actually, Basil and indifferent people. I feel like that people here tend to keep a distance with each other as a habit. And this is quite different from my hometown, where people would talk with each other frequently, as it is a small city with a small amount of people. So it seems that every people knows every people.
Yeah, you will see acquaintances everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe people here in Beijing are so busy, and so they don't have that time to, do some social, right?
Yeah.
When I first came to Beijing, I feel like, wow, it's so humid. And my classmates, they think like Beijing is so dry because most of them are coming from eastern provinces. Maybe some of them are coastal regions. So they think Beijing is so dry, but I feel it's so humid, and they are always joking about me. And for people from Xinjiang is the westernmost area in the country. So any places for us is in the east.
When you first come to Beijing and meet people here, what's their impressions about your hometown, about where you come from?
When talking about Xinjiang, I think they will always ask me, "Are you from Xinjiang? Are you sure?" Because you don't seem like Xinjiang people. I'm thinking like maybe they think Xinjiang people equals Uygur people, but they have little knowledge that there are some 50 ethnic groups in Xinjiang. And also they will ask, have you ever ride horse or camel to school? But I know that is a joke. What about you?
Yeah, in my case, this one is quite different. If I told people that I come from Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region, the first question would be, are you a Hui people? And then the second one maybe is that what's the difference between Ningxia and the Gangsu?
They're neighboring provinces.
Yes, and it seems that many people confused the two provinces, and that's, I think, the first impression for many people toward Ningxia. Yeah.
including me, actually. I think the two provinces are, sharing a lot of cultural, aspects like people's accent
Yeah.
and the geography.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the way of living. And what is your impression about Ningxia?
Dry, very dry, and a lot of Hui people.
For me, Xinjiang is vast in territory, and there are many juicy fruits there, and also there are so many ethnic minorities living there. Why you leave your hometown? What is the reason for you to leave your hometown and to adopt another life in another city?
Because Xinjiang is really remote. So when I was a kid, I feel like, living in Xinjiang is such a difficult thing. It's so big. And, between Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang, and Beijing, the distance is about 3,500 kilometers. If I take train, it takes me 30 hours. If it's flight, it needs 4 hours. So I was eager to know the world outside the region. And I did, not bad in my high school grades. And I am capable of going to better universities. But best universities are in other, developed cities like Beijing and Shanghai. That's why I chose to Beijing. What about you?
I think my reason is quite similar to you because the education in Ningxia is not as developed as those major cities. So that's the reason why me and many of my friends choose to leave Beijing, leave Ningxia and studying in other cities. After that, I think some of us wanted to pursue more opportunities in achieving personal career, so we choose to stay in major cities. And others, they may choose to return to my hometown because they have their own choice to live, I think, what they define as meaningful life.
Yeah, many of my high school classmates who have been to other cities to study, and they have gone back to Xinjiang and live their life is quite fabulous, quite amazing. So I think, it is quite common to see in China that young people to go to other places to study or work or settle down, but that doesn't mean they don't want to go back to their hometown. But before they settle down, before they go, they turn middle-aged, they have their marriage, and they want to have more access to the world. So it's quite common to see here. That is why I don't get why this kind of phenomenon was narrated as forced labor by some Western media. So in China, we still have a lot of space for people to mobilize, for people to, succeed there, or like they can have a different life from their parents. So I think that's human, that's humanity.
There are many stereotypes about Xinjiang recently on different media. So what are the specific ones that you wanted to correct?
First, for people living in other countries, they think Xinjiang people equal Uyghur people, but actually there are another 55 ethnic groups living there. That is kind of a status quo, because I want people to know, like in Xinjiang, there are not only Uyghur people dancing around and Uyghur songs. There are also a lot of artists from other ethnic groups like Kazakh, Han, Hui. We also have Hui people in Xinjiang. So I hope like people will have a more a comprehensive understanding of my hometown. For this, I want to recommend a documentary in which it introduces like how different ethnic minorities they get along in Xinjiang and how they interact with Han people, why Uyghur people or other ethnic groups want to leave Xinjiang to find better opportunities. Second, recent years, poverty alleviation campaigns in Xinjiang are misunderstood or narrated as forced labor because some people have the opportunity to go outside of the region. And third, education is quite promoted recently in Xinjiang to get rid of the illiteracy or facilitate de-radicalization. But it is also misunderstood as cultural genocide. Maybe you have heard of that. But in Xinjiang, a lot of people never heard of this term. But for people within China, in other provinces, they also have some status quo against Xinjiang. For example, whenever my friend or my acquaintances, they want to go to Xinjiang to travel, they will ask me, is it safe? Is it safe now? Because of some terrorist incidents happened years ago. But in recent, at least 5 years, there's no one terrorist incident. So that is not the case now.
In your opinion, what makes the difference for people living in ethnic minority areas?
I would say it is cultural inclusiveness. I started to realize the difference of people in terms of their opinions or religious beliefs or skin of color from an early age. And I will show my respect even though I didn't understand their practices. I'm trying to extend my awareness to in a broader sense. So whenever I go, I will try to respect people first, and at the same time, I will try to learn. Trying to learn more about their thinking, their behavior. Yeah.
That's to me. I've got lots of Hui friends, and we share lots of similarities. But at the same time, I learned from my previous experiences that I must respect their religious belief and their some of their practices. So that's what I've learned in the past. Actually, in my hometown, some of my friends from the Hui ethnic groups, after they graduated from college, they will decide to go back to Ningxia. They wanted to make such sacrifice for living a better life. Yeah.
Sacrifice. Maybe they can also find their position, in your home, in hometown,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah. They have their own career there.